Just
Welcome to your awakening. Please take calm as your reality is adjusted.
And hello and welcome. Yes, this is Flipping the Pyramid, if you hadn't guessed. Apologies if the volume was really loud on that. I had forgotten that I'd been messing with my volume sliders the other day while listening to other stuff. Yes. Hello, welcome. This is Virtual Shamanizing with me, the hairy cookie monster, because yes, I am hairy. I like cookies. I suppose I can be a bit of a monster. Put it all together, and yeah, you get the point. Where should we begin? It is the 13th of the 6th, 2013. Is it unlucky? Well, it's not Friday. Not quite yet, anyway. It will be soon. Yeah, hopefully it's not unlucky to be Thursday the 13th. Yeah, it might be for someone somewhere. It's bound to be for someone somewhere, yeah. Anyway, yeah, we started with Smashing Pumpkins, yes, as people have noticed in the chat room, loud and clear, cool, thank you. Yeah, Smashing Pumpkins, Bullet with Butterfly Wings. But it's mainly that chorus tagline that everybody knows it by. Despite all my rage, I'm still just a rat in a cage. Yeah, I think I would be enraged if I was a rat in Mandelson's bum. Look into that story rumour meme for yourself if you want to. That demon, the demon Mandelson. Yes, he was there last weekend at the Build-A-Buggerer convention, which I will rant about a bit. I'll probably end up repeating myself a bit to what I was saying on my vlog that I put up the other day, but yeah, I feel it's got to be done. Yes. Oh, hello, welcome. Yeah, this is Virtual Shamanizing. I've said all that lot, haven't I? Yeah. So that's what you get for having a week off and going to some strange convention with a bunch of strange, weird people gathering in a big constructed fake cave, and it's called the Grove. And yeah, they were walking upright and everything. It was really strange. Yes, we'll get back to that. I'll give you this quote. It might not make sense. It might be a bit all over the place this evening, but we'll get there. Yeah, I'll give you this quote. A wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to. Yeah, that was said by the character Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings story. Was it Lord of the Rings or was it Bilbo? Was it The Hobbit? I can't remember now. Anyway, the story's by Tolkien. Yes, a wizard is never late. He always arrives exactly when he meant to, because the wizard never really moves, you see. It's everything else that moves around him. Yeah, but we could get far too esoteric far too early. Anyway, let's talk about Build-A-Buggerer, because everybody else has been talking about it. It is the hot topic, isn't it? Or it was. Glad to say it's already starting to get dissected. Let's put it that way. Yeah, it's taken me since last Sunday till approximately today. Not in a continuous sense, but certainly in a number of hours since over the past few days. I have been catching up with people's footage and blogs and stuff like that they've been uploading and posting about the Bilderberg convention and the gathering that happened there in protest. I say in protest in like parentheses in bunny ears, because it was a protest, but it also wasn't. if you were there, I think you'll know exactly the kind of thing I mean. If you're looking at the footage of it afterwards and listening to what people are saying about it, you might also get the same impression. Yeah, there was a bit of a protest. People did shout, people held banners and placards, and there was also some like comedy skit stuff that people were doing, like the guy with the ventriloquist dummy and stuff like that, to put a sort of artistic protest angle on it. But there was also just a general gathering that went on besides the fact that the Bilderberg meeting conference was taking place less than about half a mile away up on the hill. Interesting place, the Grove, and it was really nice there. Lots of nice trees and lots of grass. Nice environment when if you're used to living in a big city such as London, you go to a place like that, it is like a green oasis. Even though a lot of areas around there have been turned into golf courses and stuff like that to stop them being built upon, to curb the urban creep, as it were. But at least it's green space in a big urban area, in an urban wilderness. Yes, lots of people turned up. Shall I go over the general week, as it were? I will also mention as well, next week I think I'm going to change the time of the show to begin at 8 p.m. rather than 9 p.m. Originally I put it at 9 p.m. so that hopefully it would connect for people in the States primarily, that were a few hours difference in the time code meant that by starting a bit later for us here in the UK, more people were likely to pick up on it over there. But as it is, I don't think especially being podcastable, it doesn't really matter so much. And unless I do get more into doing the simulcasting, casting on multiple stations at once, it doesn't. It's neither here nor there. And in terms of, for me myself and for most of the people listening to it here over Europe side, UK and Europe and whatever, it would make a lot more sense to begin at 8 p.m. So yeah, next week I'm going to start it at 8 p.m. I might change to a certain degree what I'm doing with it and how I'm presenting it. That's been rattling around in my head for a while now, and I think I've mentioned it here and there in the past few weeks, past few episodes, and it does seem very much like this conference, convention, gathering thing that it was has had that kind of effect, maybe like somewhat of a catalyst. Maybe an epiphany for some people. In some respect, there was a lot of people there with a lot of knowledge, so it was a great place to just chat with people and learn new stuff and think about things in a different way, different angle. Loads of great stuff going on in that sense, and that's part and parcel of what I wanted to rant and ramble about. Yes, I went down on Wednesday last week with the intention of being there for Thursday for the beginning day, because obviously that's when the various people turn up. And as I was already aware of the fact that they were going to keep us at the gate, at the main gate, it was highly unlikely that we were going to get anywhere near the building itself, the Grove. So it was the main thing to me in that respect left the fact that these people pulling up through the driveway in their limos and whatever other kind of vehicles they turn up in, because there was quite a difference. They weren't all driving big diplomatic vehicles with flags on and whatever, but nearly every one of them had tinted windows. I think the ones that didn't have tinted windows, that was probably just the catering staff turning up. But yes, I thought, I want to be there for the Thursday to wave my metaphysical fist at the people arriving, at the delegates and attendees and whatever else. Because the likelihood of you getting anywhere near them in any way whatsoever once they're in and when they leave it is highly unlikely. So yeah, the most important day to me was the Thursday for when they were turning up. by the time I was going down there, I was aware that there was going to be this, or likely to be, this fringe festival thing going on with guest speakers such as David Icke and others. But to be honest, I say to be honest, I don't need to explain myself, it's just the way it is. I wasn't really that bothered about seeing that or being there. I wanted to if I could. At the time it ended up with it being very impractical. Just the sheer cash required to actually do the travelling on the weekend was just no go really. So it was like, oh well, okay, I don't exactly need to worship at the altar of Ike. I was more interested in everybody else that was there, and I also feel that it's got to be said that I don't want to get into that cynical spiral that is damning with faint praise a lot of the people who were there, who did, just because of what they do and who they are, come along with a certain amount of celebrity attachment. Unfortunately it is a given side effect that when you become well known by the public, lots of public will want to turn up and just gawk at you because you've been on the telly or you've been on the radio or you're an author, a musician or whatever. If you have that celebrity aspect to you and you're walking about openly, not in disguise or trying to hide who you are or whatever, then guaranteed some people will come along just to gawk at you because you're a celebrity. So I don't want to, as I say, damn with faint praise by going along the usual cynical track of going, oh, that was a joke that they were there because it was all just celebrity worship. Yes, there was a lot of that going on. For myself, I just tried to stay away from it, leave it alone. I went and said thank you to several people whenever I got the chance that I saw around, shook some hands just to say thank you, to show gratitude for what people are doing, the hard work that they have and are doing, and the fact that they were there to help raise awareness and spread the message and interact with others, etc. And there are various names that I could, in that celebrity fashion, trot out of the name dropping, there was so-and-so there and so-and-so and so. You can just look at the footage for yourself, read the articles for yourself, you can see easily who was there. So there was, as I say, for myself, I didn't go under any illusion or delusion that kind of thing would not happen. That it was just going to be like a grassroots town hall meeting of genuine local citizens, etc. It was going to end up being tarred with the celebrity brush just because of what it was and where it was and who was going, etc., etc. Taking that on board, or allowing for that, there is an unfortunate celebrity side effect that we do have to deal with, and I don't want to say deal with in the sense of having to get rid of or cut off or in any way at all. It's just you have to, as I say, you have to accept that it is there. It's part and parcel of, unfortunately, if the vast majority of people are not awake, to use all those usual cliches, then they will be turning up just because it's a celebrity name that they want to look at or gawk at or get a photo with or say that they've seen or say that they've touched. Oh, I've got his pants, way! All that usual kind of stuff. It will happen. And if you want to be involved, or if you are concerned to be involved, you are willing to be involved with all this kind of stuff, then please, don't be under the illusion that you're going to stop that from happening. It's not going to stop happening until everybody is awake. Yeah, so it's going to happen. Work around it, work with it, allow for it. I'm not trying to justify it, certainly not. I've ranted plenty enough about the cult of personality problems, etc. It's going to happen. We were there on the Thursday. As I say, there was lots of various names. As I described in my vlog, it was really fascinating, interesting, amusing, a little bit ironic, sadly ironic in a way as well, is watching the little solar system that was Alex Jones and his entourage and all the various media and people just circling around him because of who he is, etc., etc. Yeah, there was a mixture of people there. People wanted to just chat with him, wanted to ask him questions, wanted to interview him, wanted to just look at him, wanted a photo with him, all the usual kind of stuff. But it was really interesting to watch how, as he walked around the field, and he does stride, he strides like he's in the military, he strides forward, I suppose, for him, in his mindset, in his mentality, the way he presents himself and deals with stuff. He is in a kind of military, and he does see himself as like a general in the vanguard, leading the way, holding the flag high and stomping his way into enemy territory. So he does he strode around the field, and this little spiralling solar system circled around him as he moved, and it was, I've been around that kind of thing before, seen that kind of thing before, as I say, under no illusion of celebrity, etc. But it was fascinating to watch how that moved around as like an entity unto itself, and how his very presence commanded the attention of almost the entire field of people. I say entire field, it wasn't exactly that big a space. It was probably, it wasn't even half an acre, was it? It was probably about a quarter acre, if that. We were all penned in like good little sheep. Yes, I suppose I should rant and ramble about that side of it as well. Again, under no illusion or delusion that they would do that to the people turning up. If anything, it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. I was expecting a surgical glove, proddy, search type gate at the entranceway, and when it came down to it, there was an extremely shoddy and pathetic G4S search, which wasn't even a search. They just waved a wand at you basically and looked at you and decided if they liked the look of your face or not. Of course, that worked in the benefit for us lot entering, I think, as others are pointing out, about the interesting potential connections of this being set up and engineered in many ways. They were quite happy for us all to turn up. The more people who crammed into that field and made it look like a circus tent full of freak show, sideshow participants, they were happy with that. Yes, of course they were. As I say, that's what they wanted, under no illusion that that isn't what they wanted. As I spoke about before we even went, this whole Bilderberg meme is no longer in the shadows the way it used to be. This was the end of their shadow play. This marked the end of their shadow play, of them constantly trying to evade sight, constantly dancing around in your peripheral vision, just out of earshot, whispering in the background. They can't do that anymore. They can't get away with it anymore. They've been exposed enough such that even if it isn't all the public, even if it isn't the majority of the public, there is a tipping point number that now are aware of them. They may not know all the details, they may not know all the ins and outs, they may not have an expansive geopolitical knowledge base on which to point at all these various criminals and say they are this, they're that, blah 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 blah, but they understand, they comprehend, they accept that this is occurring. It's no longer a conspiracy theory in the pejorative Orwellian meaning of those two words. It has been exposed enough that the tipping point is well past now, that if people are already questioning, they will quite easily and readily be able to find a paper trail of information that will lead them to a comprehension and acceptance of the fact that this is going on. These people do meet in this way, and it is not a tea party, it is not a supper club, it is not let's have coffee and biscuits and a nice little chat. These are the movers and shakers, the string pullers, the multi-corporate CEOs, the political power players that all get together behind closed doors. You're really, really, really naive enough to believe that they do everything. They speak only of things that are non-important issues, or just soundbite chat pieces, or it's just all in your best interest. Really, really, you believe that? I wish I could live in a la-la land like that. That would be the most valuable drug ever invented on the planet. Oh, I think they'd call it television, wouldn't they? Yes. Anyway. Yes, under no illusions that they would do that kind of thing. Yes, they did, most definitely. They can't hide themselves anymore, so they're going to start playing the PR spin game instead. So, as I pointed out in previous show, they have already been sowing the seeds into the mainstream media of how this is all just a joke, folks. We all just meet for a nice cosy chat. It's just a supper club, and all those people that say it's anything other than that are all crazy conspiracy loons. And look at them, we can put them all in a field and they'll all dance around wearing tinfoil and goats' heads. And yeah, I suppose I should mention that at some point. That was definitely a fantastic little victory on one of the days when the people within the pen managed to spot and realise that a bunch of what shall we call them, comedians were attempting to do a set-up skit piece within the pen to make it look like they were actually there at the event, and they were resoundingly shouted down and chased away out of the pen by the what I feel are the genuine protesters and concerned people who were there. Real people, real human beings, not politicians with agendas or provocateurs with COINTEL scripts to try and perpetrate upon the people around them. Catching up on the footage since last week, as I say, I went to the Thursday, the first day. Couldn't attend the other days because I just couldn't afford to get back there to the site. But watching the footage, that people who were able to attend on other days or for the whole weekends, for some people, yeah, people have been posting lots of fantastic footage, and you can watch the full footage of the various speeches given by people on the Saturday at the what they called the Fringe Festival, etc., etc. And I came away from that, even on the Thursday, with the sensation that, yeah, they are, as I say, quite obviously trying to set this up and engineer it and push it towards a strawman pejorative that they can punt out to the consuming public in the mainstream media, as part of the news cycle, that, yeah, go back to sleep, folks, nothing to see here, it's just a supper club, and those people that are protesting are just a bunch of crazy loons, don't worry about it. But I came away with the feeling that the majority of the people there, certainly everybody I had the opportunity to chat to, even if it was just for a few minutes, they felt and saw things very similar to the way I've just described. They knew that it was going to be engineered in some way. They knew we would be penned in like sheeple deliberately. They knew that there would be provocateurs there that would try and either cause trouble or set things up to make it look silly or to degrade any value there was to the protests and to the voices there. Yes, they would. And we're still here because we know that won't work. They can do it, yes, they can do it. I'm no doubt that I will see the various news articles, etc., etc., the talking heads, the news sound bites of how, look at all the crazy conspiracy theorists, all penned in like sheep, ha. Yes, we knew they'd do that. But it was a gathering that gave so many potentialities and so many opportunities to those that were there, open-hearted, for those kind of reasons of, yeah, we know you'll try and do that, we know you'll point the finger, we know you'll try and label us, we know you'll try and trick us and trip us up, but you won't succeed, so we're going to go ahead anyway, and we're going to gather here, and we're going to communicate and interact with each other such that our own power will be amplified 1,000-fold, infinitely, exponentially rising. I know it's become somewhat of a cheesy satirical cliche that, as Alex Jones being the celebrity that he is, and being very much in your face the way he interacts with people, he's very direct, very loud, very angry most of the time, certainly sometimes anyway. We know that the mainstream media will point at people like him and go, look, crazy right-wing loon shouting, rah. We know that will happen, but at the same time, he acts as a force multiplier for everybody else that's there, because the sheer weight of information and accumulated knowledge that filters through him, it's not just him, remember, there's a whole team of people behind him, and then there's a whole raft of people that are supporters of, or make use of the information that comes through them and pass it on to others and share it and discuss it and investigate it. He's just the tip of the iceberg, the Bilderberg. He's just the tip of that particular iceberg that pushes out this information. But by his very gravitas of who and what he is, not to justify him or quantify him in any way like that, but the sheer celebrity factor means that it adds a lot more energy to the whole environment. That was what I went there with, the intention to try and bring a connected energy, a balanced energy that maybe hopefully created a more harmonious resonance within the local environment, such that, yes, I know people are and would be and should be angry at these people, but that is the fuel that will hopefully lead to more things getting done. It's one thing to just tut and sigh, it's one thing to just shout at question time and shake your fist at the completely non-sentient electronic box that you're waving your fist at, the goggle box. It's another thing to actually invest that energy into doing something that will lead to actual changes. That's what this gathering was to me, an opportunity for that energy, that perspective and that desire, that intention that so many people out there have, to gather together, and by gathering together to multiply itself exponentially. It's like if you were in a chorus of people singing one particular song, and somebody else on the other end of the chorus started singing something that was disharmonious to what the actual chorus line was. It would create a ripple effect that would affect the rest of the song that's being sung. Eventually, the original music would gather back together and gather enough volume and weight to push back the cacophony that is being created by the disharmony. I know I often get into the very esoteric stuff, and I usually save it till later, but this whole episode really stems from this effect. The Bilderberg and what they represent, remember, it is like an iceberg. That actual meeting is just the tip of the dark iceberg that wells up underneath the surface that we actually get to see in one way or another. That is just the tip of the iceberg, that dark iceberg that is attempting to cause a cacophony within the harmonious chorus that is the balance of life on this planet and its evolution. We need to sing louder to balance back that disharmony, not to shout it down, because you can't out-shout the hurricane, but you can resonate with it, to calm it, to create a harmony which then allows you to bring it back to the original harmony that you had. Yes, as I say, maybe that's a bit too esoteric. COINTEL. Yeah, let's just mention the COINTEL stuff, because that adds into this as well, doesn't it? Yeah, there probably was COINTEL there. Yes, as I said, it probably was engineered to a certain degree. There were certain events. Yes, I mentioned the goat-headed guy. I did mention the goat-headed guy. Yeah, that was the BBC comedy show, supposedly. I thought that was quite interesting as well, that there is a comedy show called The Revolution will be televised, and it's on telly, and its comedy, or its supposed message is that they go to these events as fake protesters, do a little skit in the middle of the protest, and then put that on TV and say, there you go, look, see, it proves the revolution will be televised. It's like, Mr. Orwell, help me here, please. This is like a psychological, metaphorical, Orwellian, disjointed reversal of the meaning of protest. Yes, anyway, the revolution will not be televised. I did consider replaying that Gil Scott-Heron spoken piece, but I played it several times over recent times. I didn't want to play it again. I picked some other heavier music, which I'll play for you in a minute. I'll try and wrap up when I was rambling about with Bilderberg. I'll probably come back to this, because it links in many, many ways. And to my quote, as I was saying at the beginning, COINTEL, engineering, provocateurs, psyops, cognitive infiltration. Oh yeah, it was a whole smorgasbord there at the Bilderberg Fringe Festival and event and protest and gathering, whatever you want to call it. As I said, as far as I was concerned, it was a given. They were going to do that. Go there with an open mind, an open heart, and an awareness that those kind of things do happen, and you should be okay. Yeah. Engineering and steering, yes, most definitely. Googleberg, yes, most definitely. Have our minds been manipulated by the reliance on the internet and the dominance of the Google system to corral you in one particular direction? Why is Google the biggest search engine? Why is it so dominant? Who funded it? How was it created? Where did it originate? Ooh, is the pyramid starting to become visible to you? Googleberg, why is it that this particular meeting of the Bilderbuggers happened to interject itself into the ongoing Google convention that was happening at the Grove at the same time? Coincidence. Ooh, strokey beard. Yes, it's big coincidence, isn't it? Yeah, and if you look at the guest list, just how many of the people on there were like techies, were something to do with the internet, or were directly just stepping revolving door styley out of the Google convention and into the Bilderberg convention. Oh yes, all strokey beard, it's all just a coincidence, strokey. Shadow government. As I said, maybe not so much shadow anymore, maybe not so much in the shadow play anymore, and herein lies the rub, as they say. Now that they can no longer really evade the spotlight like a cockroach scuttling under the fridge has been moved now, so they can't hide under it anymore. They will do the PR spin. They will attempt to manipulate the press that is put out about them and the opinion about them. They will attempt to brand themselves, to rebrand themselves. And in that rebranding, I feel it is undeniable that they would have to be, to a very large degree, upfront about who they are, what they do, and their attitudes, ideologies, both political and maybe religious or spiritual for some of them. Have you noticed over the past few years how the general mood, the opinion of the public at large is one that could be defined as being nationalistic, tribalistic, centrist maybe, but certainly rapidly running to the right, and at the same time withdrawing into its own borders, both in a physical sense and a mental sense. Yes, as Smokey J has just posted in the chat room, jingoistic. Yes, most definitely. In that kind of atmosphere, they can more readily step forward and go, well, yes, we are a bit right of centre, yeah, we are a bit right-wing, but we need to do this, folks. We have to cut back for good reason, otherwise we'll suffer worse later down the road. We have to have austerity now so that we can survive later down the road. And of course, as talked about lots and lots and lots in recent times, all these stuff to do with austerity, etc., is all just a smokescreen. It's all just to create a cover so that they can be rapidly stealing everything and centralising and codifying into a totalitarian tyranny, a one world system. And that, I think, is maybe a good place for me to play some more music. Give you about 10 minutes, about 12 minutes of music and audio that I think sort of puts that point across a bit more energetic stuff to keep the energy moving. And I will come back and rant at you more about the Bilderberg. I'll probably talk a bit more about it because it's going to lead me into other topics. Yes, anyway, that's the way it goes. I will be back in about 12 minutes. And hello, welcome back. Yes, this is Flipping the Pyramid, this virtual shamanizing with me, the Hairy Cookie Monster. Yeah, I left it at the point where I was talking about the no longer being in the shadows. Their illusion in that respect is starting to fall away, so now they are going to be much more in your face about themselves. The blatant jocularity of the subjects, as demonstrated by Ken Clarke in the parliamentary session, when he basically filibustered, said nothing of any substance or relevance to the questions asked. He just made light of the subject, joked about it, said it was, it's just a supper club, we just have a chat, blah 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 blah. And as the general mood of the populace has been steered towards a much more nationalistic, jingoistic, right-wing mentality, lo and behold, it is much more, I have to use the word acceptable, even though it's not acceptable, but to the majority of the public it is acceptable for these people to be doing what they're doing, having their secret meetings where they decide for your betterment. They're making these decisions all for your best interests, aren't they? Yes, really. I'll give you another quote just to finish off, sort of defining that aspect of the Bilderberg effect. This is a quote from Zbigniew Brzezinski. Today it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. If you don't know who he is, go and check it out for yourself. You'll find that that quote was part of a speech he gave, which you can find on YouTube and whatever. There's plenty of people have uploaded it. You want to see the guy say it himself, and you want to see it and hear it in context to the rest of his speech. Yeah, it's there. It's available. And listen to it in context, but it doesn't detract from the seriousness of what is contained in that one sentence, even when you do put it in context. He's blatantly telling you, he's letting you know that yes, they can do this kind of stuff and get away with it. If they choose to, that is what they will start doing. Bilderberg Doesn't matter, folks. Don't worry about it. We're just having a nice, quiet chat, and it's all in your benefit anyway. Yeah, of course we care about you. We wouldn't decide anything that would not be in your benefit. So don't worry about it. Go back to sleep. Go back to watching the telly. It's okay. Yes, they have done that. They have been doing that. They are doing that, and they will do it further on down the line. And as I mentioned about the people from the comedy show trying to, I suppose you could call it cognitive infiltration, trying to sneak their way in and nonchalantly perform a comedy skit which would create a certain amount of mimetic backlash, let's put it that way. It would be a whip from the rodeo riders to steer you into the pen as you are kicking and thrashing. Yeah, but the revolution will not be televised. If you did, I'm changing the subject slightly here now to bring in some other news. If you didn't see the news about this, one of the state-run channel in Greece, dropping a link in the chat room here, that just happens to be from Al Jazeera because it was one video clip that was short and sweet, so I thought that's appropriate to match with the headline. But you'll find this headline on other places as well, this news reported in other places. Now, this particular little video clip is mainly highlighting the fact that there are now multiple strikes being organised that are in solidarity with the people of the state television channel that have now all lost their jobs because the state TV channel has literally just been turned off. The revolution will not be televised. What's happening in Greece at the moment? Is it a revolution? It could very well be. Certainly from some angles it most definitely is. The people on the ground are having to do for themselves because the supposed societal systems, the establishment structure is literally falling apart. It is collapsing in on itself very, very rapidly, and the rise of the right wing is growing rapidly. And again, as I say, look at the general mood across most of the Western nations, if not the entire globe at the moment. It is most definitely rapidly running in a right-wing ideological direction. And I mean that in reference to the darker sides of the right-wing ideology. You know, not what I would consider to be the positive stuff, such as the independent attitude, etc. Whatever. Not to get dragged into a left-right paradigm ideological argument. But hopefully you get the point. The television, the media sources, quite readily controlled, co-opted, seeded with misinformation, used as a tool against you, used as a tool to control you, to manipulate you, to corral you, steer you, mould you, to give you your opinion so that when they crack the whip you will knee-jerk jump through the hoop and start yapping like the good little Pavlovian dog that you are. And when that system starts collapsing, and they start to lose control, they just turn it off. The revolution will not be televised. And that co-opting that they attempted, there probably will be some success for them come out of it, no doubt. But hopefully in the long run, the wider picture, as I say, there was plenty of people at that Bilderberg event. Even just on the Thursday, the day that I was there, there was plenty of people. Everyone I spoke with was there with that kind of awareness of, yes, keep your eye out for provocateurs. Yes, isn't this a nice, lovely sheep pen that they put us in? So, yeah. We don't need the television anymore. They can quite happily turn it off. We don't need the revolution to be televised because the revolution is on the street, it's not in the telly box. The revolution is in your head, it's in your living room, it's on your street, outside your door. You don't need the TV to tell you that, you don't need the TV to show it to you. You need a lighter that works though. Oh, I'll come back to that. Yes, other news. This also sort of links in, doesn't it? Prism and Snowden, the NSA whistleblower. Convenient timing could be. It does seem to be, in a asymmetrical sense, beneficial to them, because it will further add weight to their agenda to put more controls on the internet and to crack down on freedom of speech. In the sheep pen at the Bilderberg, it was very much the you are now in the freedom of speech zone. You say whatever you like here, but as soon as you step out onto the street, the police there will have a lot less patience and will want you to hurry up and move along and stop arguing. Yes, the control of free speech. As I've often said, it is an unfortunate side effect that if you have free speech, you do have to listen to a lot of idiots and unpleasant people and whatever. But at the same time, if you don't have your free speech, you will find yourself in a very unpleasant society, let's put it that way. So, loads of protests being staged in Greece in support of that television channel that was shut down. At the same time, we have more whistleblowing leaks that point out that yes, they are listening to everything you do, yes, they are databasing all your electronic interactions and mobile phone interactions, and certainly in the United States your telephone exchange interactions. And I think it's probably more than likely true, considering the general modus operandi and the available evidence that we have up to this date. Look up Echelon and stuff like that. That the British government has been doing the same via a sort of a proxy, an asymmetrical proxy angle. They get the Americans to give them the intelligence on us, and vice versa. The Americans ask the British government and we give them all the intelligence we've gathered on their citizens. So in other words, they are spying on their own citizens by proxy. And as you start to attempt to unify and spread the word and actually get some kind of social movement progressing anywhere, they will then just turn off your media. They will block Twitter, they will block the internet, they will turn off the TV channels. The revolution will not be televised. You have to actually get involved and take part. And that's what people were doing at Bilderberg, at the festival meeting, gathering, event, protest, whatever. If you don't get off your ass and get involved in some manner, even if it is just via online media, if you're not able to get out and about, if you've got lots of other commitments in your life, you're busy, you're working, your time's occupied, then you can at least be speaking out in a online, in a virtual fashion. It gives you, while it's still there, it gives you an opportunity to get involved. So, you have no more excuses for not being involved. It is your future, your children's future, next generation's future. A lot of the pejorative redefinition of words such as conspiracy theorists enable them to diffuse any energy that is pursuing change to the status quo. And the status quo, I mean in reference to what they want, the ubiquitous they, the amorphous they, the powers that were, the old world order, the cabal, whatever you want to call them, those that are currently in power and pulling the strings. They don't want you to have any progression. They don't want you to gain enough power, gravity, weight, energy to be making progression, to make changes. Keep you diffused, divided, confused, misinformed. Lots and lots of words that I could throw out that are just similar to the statement on the website. So will they put co-intel out there? Yes, they certainly will. Should you let it stop you from doing what you're doing, from being involved and adding your energy, adding your knowledge, adding your love, adding your wisdom, your skills, your ability to hopefully moving towards better environment, to making things better, to making the world better? You got to keep moving on that treadmill. Yes, there is co-intel, but don't let them quagmire you into division and argument. I'm sure as the days progress, as has been seen over the last few days even, the amount of information, both anecdotal and sort of like documented information of who organised what and the speakers that were there, and like, for example, that BBC team turning up, etc., etc. It's highly convenient that they turned up, isn't it? Yeah. Who give them the nod and the wink? I wonder. But yes, that will all occur, but it's not going to stop the overall energy that is going on. It's already past that tipping point. You can either take part in the decisions that shape your future, take part in the discussion, in the direction that you want things to go in. Just even look at it from that selfish point of view. Maybe I shouldn't appeal to that selfish side. That could be a dangerous incitement. But you have to get involved in some manner. Otherwise you will be ruled over by your inferiors, and they will consume you and yours as they see fit, because it suits them. Other news, the G8 protests in London, the massive raid that happened on the squat of the supposed organisers of the protests. I'm not sure if they were meant to be the organisers of the entire protest or just certain aspects of it. But yes, there was a massive police raid in London to preemptively, can we say pre-crime, can we? I think I can, I'm going to anyway. Yeah, to pre-crime arrest lots of people in this squat to prevent them from taking part and carrying out their nefarious plan to take over the world. Was it like the Counter Bilderberg meeting, this squat full of these people who were just trying to make a positive difference for the society they live in? And it gets raided, descended upon by lots and lots and lots of policemen. Yeah, I don't have any particular links for that. It's out there in amongst the news if you want to look for it. I expect that this summer is going to be a lot more along those lines. We're probably going to see a lot more of attempts to set up or create more grassroots driven public events, whether it be a protest or some kind of proactive activism, artistic activism, meetings, people getting together to have their own little meetings. All of those things are going to grow exponentially, and at the same time the system will crack down on it harder and harder and harder. You can't stop an idea, and the idea is already there and taken root. People want change. Maybe it's just a general thing for them. Maybe they've looked much further into this and can see the direction it's going and don't like it, etc. They might see the bigger picture. They might see it the same as you. They might see it slightly differently. But everybody's grabbing an oar and they're all trying to row. And at the moment, they're all starting to come roughly together and start rowing in the same direction. And from the Bilderberg point of view, they're attempting to get it down into, as I said earlier, that centralised totalitarian one world system where they are the rulers. Carry on. Tip your quiff to the rulers, the new boss, same as the old boss. But then you've got the counterweight to that, the counterbalance to that is the growing grassroots public movements. And as we've seen over the past few years, there has already been a few that have cropped up, risen, and been either subverted and cut down, or they're still there, they're still going. As I said before, UK Uncut are still one of the groups that have managed to skirt all these various co-opting effects, and they're still managing to get people organised and together and energised and proactive and actually doing stuff. And there's loads of other groups I could mention on both sides of that argument, ones that have been co-opted and disrupted or whatever. But as I say, don't let them fool you. They will keep attempting to sow the seeds of division. They'll keep attempting to fan the flames of divide and conquer, because it's in their benefit while you all argue amongst yourselves. And for me, that effect certainly left that aftertaste from the gathering at the Bilderberg protest, was an aftertaste of, yes, we know you're doing what you're doing, and we're going to carry on doing what we're doing, and what we are doing is coming together and unifying and organising and empowering each other. And that's not a moral relativism of shades of grey of we represent everything. It's not a one world system under their control or their corralling or co-opting. It's just people in general. It's honest human beings who can see that the direction is getting more and more unpleasant, and the situation is the walls are getting tighter and tighter. And if you don't start doing something, pretty soon there won't be any lifeboats left, because they would have all been taken. So yeah, you got to keep paddling. You got to keep moving. Don't let them trap you down into that quagmire. As I said, there has been over the past few days lots of good footage and articles and stuff, and lots of interesting information and connections, etc. But don't let it stop you doing what you're doing. If there are co-intel and agents and whatever, they'll get exposed. People will expose them. They'll be revealed for who they are. They'll trip themselves up, or they will be exposed by others that just can't help themselves but turn over stones to look for people like that. It will come out in the wash, as they say. And while we're peddling that hand-powered washing machine, yeah, you got to keep peddling. It's like being on a road to nowhere. Such a fantastic segue into that. Maybe I should give myself a gold DJ star. No, maybe I shouldn't, because that's just too silly. Yeah, I'm going to play a couple more tracks, and as I usually do, as I corral you back into a different direction, into a different tunnel reality. Yes, on this road to nowhere. I will be back in about 8 minutes. Hello and welcome back. Hopefully you can hear me again okay. Yeah, last segment for me, rambling and ranting and listening to the sound of my own voice. Yes, love it. Once I get on a roll, if you'll get used to that. Once I get in a roll, yes, I'm not listening to the sound of my own voice, I'm just letting it flow. So sometimes I ramble for half an hour, sometimes it might only be 10 minutes, but yeah. Last bit from me, and I will play you out some couple more tracks in a bit. And I also wanted to address, because the two tracks I've just played could quite easily fall into what I feel is the trap, the misdirection that is again, this cognitive infiltration, co-opting, as aptly described by the hippie movement. And again, I'm referring this back to Bilderberg. Yes, this whole episode is Bilderberg, really, even though I will and I have and will mention other news, but really it keeps coming back to that one topic. As was aptly demonstrated with the hippie movement, you can co-opt and corral and redirect the energy that grows from any grassroots movement. All you need to do is inject a few hedonists. It's as simple as that. Yeah, extremely oversimplified, but in reference to the gathering at the Bilderberg protest. As I said, lots already, keep repeating myself. I think people were there with that awareness and with that openness to allow it to be, to allow the circles to turn. We know that they're going to throw that stuff at us, but the circle is still turning, the energy vortex is still growing. So no matter they try to push it in one direction or the other, again, that was why I sat in meditation. Oh, that's a good one, isn't it? Meditation. I sat in meditation for a short time. I didn't spend ages doing it, but it was just to create that connection and hopefully create a harmonizing resonance. But it wasn't to add that air of hippie misdirection. Again, we're into the problem of the Orwellian redefinition of language. Hippie is just a label, but unfortunately every time you use it there are so many connotations that come along with that label that are brought up in people's minds because of the various layers of not only the actual events that occurred in history, but also the programming that has gone on since, the mimetic corralling and control that has gone on since those events and that time period. It was a practice run, maybe not the first practice run, but it was certainly an experimental practice run of their mind manipulation techniques. Things that have certainly led to, in the long run, the setting up of institutes such as Common Purpose. All links back into Tavistock and all that. The UK has a very strong and long history of developing and utilising such techniques. Yeah, go and look into that for yourself. Lots and lots and lots of good info out there. It's a big topic, but certainly one that's of value for you to at least have a look at, even if you don't go into it in depth. So yeah, I wasn't trying to add an air of that kind of side of things, certainly not. I am not an agent, honest. But for me personally, from the way I interact with all this kind of stuff, I felt that it was the right thing to do. It was certainly the right thing for me to do some meditation, as I say, all that good stuff. I have a personal perspective on those kind of things that I don't force onto other people. I don't demand that they do things the way I want. They don't have to perform certain ceremonies utilising certain dogma to be able to do this kind of stuff. I think I'm long ago given up on those kind of restrictive dogmatic systems, those hierarchy systems. You don't need it, you don't need any of it. But it does require you to have a fairly good knowledge of yourself and to be honest with yourself and to deal with your own demons before you can find a confident connection to your true self, which will inevitably, it is intrinsically linked into the rest of the environment around you, the rest of reality around you. So you are attuning your aerial that receives the everything that you are interacting with. There was quite a few people, I say quite a few, tens of people that I noticed just in the one day I was there, that I could, on a suspicious glance, stereotype them and put them into certain boxes and add labels to those boxes, wherein I would be suspicious of them, the way they dress, the way they act, the things they say, would lend me to question whether they were there to deliberately disrupt or to sow those kinds of seeds of disempowerment. So as far as I'm concerned, that's what it is, disempowerment. If you're honestly trying to help empower people, then the way that kind of mind manipulation works, it is to do the opposite, to steam valve you, to disempower you, to make you just sit on your ass and chant and wave dream catchers in the air and wish good wishes and think that everything's done and hunky-dory. And it doesn't matter that there are nasty criminals having a private meeting behind closed doors, deciding whether you will starve or heat your home, etc., etc. Oh no, it doesn't matter, we can just dance and sing and have a laugh. But I did feel that, as I say, in general, the people there, everybody I spoke to certainly, had an awareness of that potentiality and was not going to be easily fooled into it. I do have a personal perspective on that kind of topic. Yes, I personally am a theist. I'm not atheist, I am a theist. I think there is something. I think there is an energy or power or sentience, or however you wish to box and label it, but there is something, and there is certainly, as far as I'm concerned, it is undeniable that there is an interaction between you, yourself, and your environment that you are existing in. That is just undeniable. Even in a scientific manner, it is undeniable. You are an electromagnetic being having a physical experience within an electromagnetic soup of probability. What you need to do is realise that and start looking for that muscle that gives you the sensitivity to connect to that. It is there, everybody has it, it's just that it's muffled and muted and subdued by the system. It is calcified and weakened by the way we live in this modern society, the food we eat, the air we breathe, the water we drink, etc., etc. And at the same time, it is psychologically subdued by our indoctrination system. No, you shouldn't listen to that inner voice. No, if you listen to that inner voice, then you'll end up being a religious nutter. You might as well go and join a convent. Whoa! Yeah, you see what I mean? So many connotations and so much Orwellian redefinition into pejoratives and social exclusion. Anyway, I was trying to address my initial quote, "A wizard is never late," and at the same time weave it in to the tapestry that was what I felt the energy that was resonating at that gathering at Bilderberg, watching so many people gather in what was on the whole happiness, joy, love, friendship, open-heartedness, open-mindedness, while, like I said, less than half a mile away there was a convention of very blinkered, very centrist, very narcissistic personality types that are convinced that they can gather it all up unto themselves like a dragon trying to reclaim its hoard, and eventually they'll get enough, and they keep grabbing and grabbing and pulling in, grabbing, and it's never enough. They will never ever fill that emptiness, but they'll keep trying. But the dichotomy of happiness and joy and togetherness and humanity, I saw in that, maybe it's my own personal slant of how I personally interpret these kind of things, because it fits into my reality tunnel. Yeah, it could be, if you want to be that cynical, but at the same time I saw a lot of friendliness, a lot of people meeting up and exchanging phone numbers, exchanging email addresses, thinking about, talking about, discussing, planning what they're going to do next, where can they go from here, how do we progress this further, creating little groups, creating unified connections where they can be interacting with each other to do that, pushing it further, to evolve beyond this one point, this one moment that was that gathering. And that therein brings me to that initial quote: a wizard is never late, nor is he early, because he arrives exactly when he means to, because that one moment is the moment. If you were there at the event, at the protest, whatever day, whatever capacity you went there in, thank you very much. Thank you for adding into that whole evolutionary process And even though I myself, I've got questions about a lot of the people that were there. Like I said, I saw a few people that made me dubious. Are you here to cause problems, mate? Are you here to deliberately just to help enable the pejorative description of said protest and protesters? You're helping to label people as crazy kooks, like the guy dancing around with the goat's head on and various others. And at the same time, you had various people, the named people that most of you will know, like Alex Jones and David Icke, and all the connotations that come along with those kind of personalities turning up at this particular event. Were they brought in as co-intel? Are they there as Pied Pipers to lead the sheep down a dead-end track such that they never actually get anywhere or do anything? Yes, I do have questions, and I do ask questions, and I try to critically overview and observe these things so that I can hopefully get a bit more insight from them to enable me to be a bit more empowered as I'm moving forward and evolving. So I would rather not shoot the messenger. I would rather not throw the baby out with the bathwater. I would rather appreciate what was there in that moment for what it did and what it enabled, and the energy that it added, and the effect that will hopefully, optimistically, bring to this truth movement, for want of a better description, unfortunately. For those that question, for those that seek, for those that look to make a better world, yes, adding energy to that progression, power to the elbow of those that are rowing in that direction. Yes, anyway, I think I've ranted enough about that. If you're not into all that kind of esoteric, hippie-ish side of things, if you prefer to keep things very materialistic and atheistic, etc., etc., I could say lots to you, but I will try and keep it simple and succinct and realistic and pragmatic, because I know that's what you want. Because if you have that materialist kind of perspective, then that's what you want. You want practical, bullet-pointed list. Then there is exactly the same kind of outcome. Various people from various backgrounds, various cultures, various countries, and the groups that they work within or work with or independent, etc., all got the opportunity to get together and network. They networked, and they talked about how they could further network and how they could progress that network further in its goals, in its desires and dreams and aspirations and all that good stuff. So there you go. For the materialists, it's exactly the same effects. Don't worry about all the energetic stuff. Don't worry about the fact that the atoms that make up your body are 99.999% empty space. Don't think about that. Don't think about thinking. No, careful now. You might trip over your own self. Anyway, yes, I've ranted enough. On a more serious note, please, don't let it distract you. As James Corbett put up one of his uploads last week, Beyond Bilderberg. I linked it the other week, I think, so I won't link it again. But if you haven't seen it, go and look at that. Go and listen to that. There are a lot of other things going on other than Bilderberg, and there are a lot of other things, issues that need bringing to people's awareness, and they still need people to be talking about and shouting about. And in that respect, please don't forget about what is going on across the globe at the moment. And certainly, I just dropped a link in the chat room to a Daily Mail article, dailymail.co.uk. This is in reference to the UK. Warning of a private army running Britain after government increases spending on security firm G4S by £65 million, that is. Privatisation, centralisation, turning public sector into private, putting public funds into private pockets, and at the same time enabling a totalitarian Stasi system. The wheels turn, turn, turn. The season is a ticking. We've had plenty of warnings. We have been giving you plenty of warnings. This thing is progressing, and they are progressing at a rapid pace. And elsewhere in the world, please don't forget about what's going on in the Middle East as well, especially because I feel that is going to be a major crux point. Yeah, lots and lots of serious news in that sense that is happening at the moment. One more link I'll add in, which Smokey gave me earlier. This is on Voltaire Net. Title of it is "The Uprising Against Brother Erdogan." Is it pronounced Erdogan or Erdogan? I can never remember. Anyway, yeah, this is a fairly longish article. It's not that long, but talking about the situation as it's ongoing in Turkey at the moment, and what could potentially be a popular uprising. I don't want to say the word revolution, and it does have certain hallmarks of the Arab Spring, which then could potentially lead to possibilities that it is being engineered or provocateured, etc. But yes, it is an ongoing and developing and serious situation. So, even though, as I often do, I will, have a bit of a laugh, have a bit of a joke, and I do try to bring a bit of transmuted energy of, yes, there is very, very serious and nasty stuff going on in the world, and if you want, we can get all doom porn and death porn and sit and placate and fiddle with that little self-loathing nipple that makes you disempowered and frightens you into staying in your home and locking the doors and hiding under the bed. Or we can actually make some more positive and creative direction out of your energy and not let things like that trap us down. Not ignoring it, not denying it, not sweeping it under the carpet. Facing it, facing the unpleasantness, facing the demons, facing the shadow, and then moving through it. Fear is the mind killer. Yes, as I say, I think I've ranted enough. I keep using that phrase as well tonight. I don't know why, for some reason. As I say, I've said it, as I say, several times. I apologise for repeating that phrase. Yeah, I'm going to play you out a few more tunes and I'm going to wind it up. I was just about to say I'm going to wind it up early-ish, but it's not really, is it? I've done my usual of once I get into a flow, I can't stop rambling and ranting. Thank you for listening, folks. Keep talking, keep debating, keep conversing, keep interacting. Remember, communication is more than just verbal. If you can, if you're willing to, get off your ass, get involved, get proactive, intent and action. I'm not telling you what to do or how to do it, but just do something. That classic quote, you're not born into this world to do everything, but to do something. Take part. Yes, anyway, I will play you 1, 2, 3 tracks. Usual one at the end. I'm going to play Audio Slave and another old classic track, but listen to the lyrics, they might make you smile. Anyway, yes folks, thank you very much for listening. I will rant at you again earlier next week from 8 till 10. Yeah, please come back again, listen to Blue Bus on Monday for Reality Check. Yeah, hopefully I will speak to you again soon. Take care, folks.